What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of In the Family Room. I am so excited about tonight's discussion and my guest that's joining me tonight. She has been in my life for over 30 years. She is actually the bonus mom of my oldest son, Eric. And we talk about our journey together as mother and bonus mother and what our relationship was like when we first met, how we came together to raise my son, how she was very instrumental in regards to the communication between myself and his father. I am one that really truly believe that you can have great relationships with the mother, father, bonus father. It's up to you. This is something that you have to want to do. And we really honestly talk about our relationship. We are friends. As I stated, we have known each other for over 30 years. And so come with me in the family room. You're gonna love this episode.
One, two, three, four.
What's up, cousins? Welcome to In the Family Room, where faith, family, fun, and shenanigans all align. I am so excited to be with you guys. I am your host, Traci Wade. And do me a favor, if you have not, be sure to share this live. Also, subscribe to our YouTube page at I Am Traci Wade. We're also on all podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple. Just look for In the Family Room. Now, today's topic is a personal one for me. As you all know, we are still in season two, and everything is centered around my new book. It's just a season, not a sentence. And chapter 5 of the book deals with the blended family. And I am so excited to have someone that I think I had to deal with a blended family. I think she was the first person that I had to deal with. As it pertains to dealing with the blended family. Lavonna Jolly, welcome to In the Family Room. I'm so excited
Ah,
to have you.
thank you.
You are so welcome. I thank you for your yes. I really do appreciate it. So, I want to give everyone a backdrop concerning our relationship together. So basically, Lavonna and I have the same baby daddy. It's the easiest way to put it. We have the same. We share the same. She has two. I have one from the same man. Now we were not together. We were not with the guy at the same time. I want to give a timeline. Let me put that disclosure out there. But just to give you all just a short backdrop story. I met my oldest son's father when I was in high school. Long story short, I found myself pregnant, a teenage mother pregnant. Had my son. He and I were still together for a few years after my son was born. We broke up, and then he ends up meeting this beautiful vessel. And the two of them eventually got married and had children of their own. And so, Vaughn, I gotta ask you a question. So, do you remember the day you and I first met?
Yep, you came to my job. I understood because you wanted to know who was around your son. And
I
I think
did.
you came to my
Yeah.
job and I think we talked for like a couple hours in the parking lot, you know. I remember
Yeah.
it like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I did. Yeah.
I'm glad you did it
Uh,
because I don't know if we would have met as soon if you didn't do that.
Right. I got wind of you. I got wind, and I don't even know how I'm from Orlando, baby. I'm in these streets. I made I called around. Like I did. I had to find you. It wasn't hard or anything like that. But we're talking, my son is 32. So we're talking probably about 31 years old, 30, probably about he's 32, going on 32 now. So we're talking about probably like 20 years ago, 19 years ago, something like that. He was, maybe
Yes.
about two. But yeah, you're right. I wanted to know who was around my child. Our the father of our son, of our children, was not giving up a lot of information, and so as a mother, I just wanted to meet you, and I felt like it was important. And what was crazy is that after you and I met, you either y'all had just got married, or you all were about to
Mhm.
get married. I think you all may have just gotten married because we literally meet my ex-husband and I, we got married like a week after you
Week.
guys. We literally got married the same
Yep.
year, a week apart. I thought that was
Yeah.
crazy. And from the very moment that we met, like you and I we've been this way all these years.
Yep. People don't understand, but I love it.
Were you nervous when I walked in the door?
No, I really wasn't. To be honest, I was almost like relieved because I knew it had to happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen like that. But I was okay with it. So,
Mm.
because I don't really think
Yeah,
he really wanted us to meet.
no, I don't even. I see. That's the crazy part, and it typically is guys. It's fathers. Like in their mind, they think that they can separate the two, and I'm just like, how? If you have a child with one woman, and then you marry another woman, and y'all again, like what make you think that that's not like the worlds are not going to collide. You have, extracurricular
Right.
activities, birthdays, all kinds of things. And so it was, I think it's something that they didn't, and which was crazy because I was not the type of woman, I'm still not the type of woman to like be nasty or, misrepresent myself in public. That's just not who I am. And so you have to really, like, you really have to push me in order for me to, like back then, I'm nowhere like that. But I mean, you would really have to push me to do something like that. And so I felt the same
Right.
way. I didn't think he was going to ever introduce us. And I felt like it was something that was really, really important. And I'm so glad you were receptive. What I will say about our relationship, just so you guys know, like she got married, then I got married a week later. And then, because there was this thing, you remember there was this thing between my ex-husband and your ex-husband. Like they did not get along at first. Remember?
Right. I remember for it to turn out how it did, I I
Yeah.
never thought it would be that. So, um, I was always trying to make sure that everything was smooth because he could be hard sometimes. So I know you knew that, but I didn't want any friction between y'all. So I felt like I was trying to be the mediator,
You
calm him
were.
down. So,
You
so
were.
yeah,
Let's just call a spade a spade. But there was this thing because, one of the things that we were experiencing, you got to remember, I was a teenager when I had EJ, and I
right,
was very impressionable, very naive, very just, I don't know. It was like I pretty much did whatever he wanted me to do most of our relationship. It was a
Mhm.
very controlling relationship. And I'm just being honest, he controlled a lot of what happened with me. And he controlled a lot what happened with my son, and I went through a lot. And so when I met my then ex-husband, when my ex-husband and I met and started dating, there really was not a lot of communication or a lot of interaction between the two of them. But then when we got married and we were in the same household, our baby daddy still felt like he could just talk to me any kind of way. And my husband was like, no, you like, it was a whole thing. And so I was relieved when I don't know how it happened to this day. I don't even remember how that happened. But they got to talking. Oh, I remember he was dropping EJ off one day, and we were at my in-laws' house. So he was dropping them off at the in-laws' house, and my ex-husband was outside, like washing a car, doing something with the car. And they started talking. I just noticed EJ came up, but I didn't see my ex-husband coming out. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm looking out there, and the two of them are just chatting it up. And I'm just like, you know,
Probably wondering, oh
and
Lord, what's going
ultimately,
on?
what ended up happening is because the two of them got closer as friends. I think it brought you and I closer as friends. I remember their birthdays were the same month, and you and I gave them a birthday party the same year. I mean, at the same time one year. And so we got really, really close. Now, what's crazy is that they don't communicate with each other anymore, but you and I still have a friendship.
Yep, it's crazy. But
Let me ask you, as because you were young, you met him, and you were young, and you're coming in as a stepmother, you're coming in as a mother figure, as another mother figure in my son's life. What are your thoughts? What were your thoughts in regards to coming into that situation?
scared because I had never dated
Really?
anyone with kids before, and I had a child.
Mm.
So
Yep.
I was like, oh boy. I didn't want the drama, but you weren't the
Mhm.
drama. He was. So once I realized what was going on, I was like, no, this not gonna work. So yeah, I was nervous, but I knew
Yeah.
once we met and you met me and realized who I was, how I was, you would know that I wasn't there. I wasn't gonna mistreat EJ or anything. So then I felt okay once we got to that stage. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that, I really do believe that, and this is, I don't think that, when you're talking about a blended family and you're trying to blend two families together, it could be very awkward. It could be very scary. Because
yes.
exactly like you said, you don't know how the other parent is going to receive you. You don't know if they're going to have issues with you. And so, um, I just personally feel, because I'm not saying that this is all men. I think there are some men that know how to navigate this, but I find that a lot of men don't know how to navigate this well. And exactly what you were saying, as it pertained to, our son's, our kid's father. The fact that you didn't think he was ever going to introduce you to me, right? And so, do you think it's the
Mhm.
responsibility of the woman to kind of help cultivate um that 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 environment, like, you know what I'm saying, like being attentional, like, because one of the things I remember with you is that his father worked on Saturdays, and so the weekends that he was with you while he was working. And
Yeah,
so
he
I
was with
never
me.
worried that EJ wasn't being taken care of. Yeah, do you think that that's something that the woman, is it the woman's responsibility, or do our fathers need to step up?
I think the fathers need to step up, but when they don't, like I'm the one, I will, you know, do what I have to do to make things right. Like there's a way you handle everything, and uh, I gotta say the right thing. With him, it wouldn't always go the right way.
Go ahead.
So he could have been a little. I know he was scared
Mhm.
too. So not he should have known both of us, but
Yeah,
he.
he may have been.
I don't know.
I never spoke to him about it. I've never spoken to
Really,
him
never.
about this, and he may have been. No, I've never asked him if this was something that was, because listen, you got to understand, when he was coming, I was, here's your son, and I was trying to get out the way. Like, but as we now that we're older, I never really had a conversation with him to find out, hey, was this something that you were concerned about? Well, and again, we were young, like we were in our 20s when all of this was happening. So, navigating
Yeah,
that even at that age, kudos to you and
it's a
I
lot.
for, being mature. And really, I'm gonna be honest, for those that are watching, for the audience that was watching, there were so many times that Vaughn was an ally. She was like, she had my back. She would call him out when he was wrong, when he was wrong. Which was most of the time, unfortunately. We didn't always get along. And so I feel like for a lot of fathers, they are afraid because they don't want to have to deal with any of the drama, like you were talking about earlier. They don't want to have to deal with conflict, things like that. If they could keep that out of their household, they would prefer to do it. But I believe that,
Right,
fathers are not always nurturers. And so I think that this is something that the stepmother, or the bonus mother, as I would like to refer to her as, the bonus mother has to take more of an initiative to kind of to create this welcoming environment for the children, for there
right,
to be room. I can honestly say that for my son's stepmother, my younger three, and you, that this was created. But there are some situations where it wasn't created. Like, there was no investment. And I would like to encourage more mothers, number one, not to be intimidated by your position as their mother. I talk about that in my book, how, my children asked, when they went to go live with their father, they asked if it was okay to call her mom. And I didn't have a problem with it because there were other children. I was looking at the entire dynamic. She had her own
yes,
children, and then they had kids together, and then my kids were there. And so it might have felt awkward for them to call her Miss such and such versus the other kids calling her
right,
mom. And so I said, if you feel comfortable calling her mom, that's fine. I'm confident in who I am. And I think it goes back to a confidence as the mother, as the biological mother, that this woman that's in your child's life doesn't have to be an enemy. You are still their mother. That's not going to change. They're going to love you. And a lot of times they don't want that because out of fear. And I'm not saying that every child needs to call their stepmother mom. That's not the point. The point is she doesn't have to be an enemy. What advice would you give a stepmother in that situation? Like, what advice would you give them in regards to their position as a stepmother, and not being intimidated by the biological mother?
I think in the beginning people should talk, like sit down and have a conversation, because um then you really get to see that person, they get to understand where you're coming from, um and it kind of eases um the relationship. So me and EJ still have a relationship. So we don't talk
Yeah,
all the time, but when I see him we talk, and sometimes I have to have called him,
yeah,
he's called me. So I
yeah,
just
yeah,
I seen it like when my mom and dad got divorced when I was 2, and they are like buddy buddy. When you see them together, they talking about old times, and I'm looking at them like, y'all were married? Like, it's just different. Um you have to
yeah,
really stay in your lane too.
yeah. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I'm gonna navigate to that, segue to that. But I think divorce is hard enough, and depending on the reasoning for the divorce, I find that when two people they get a divorce and both of them want the divorce, things tend to probably go a little smoother because they're amicable, they're cooperative. If they're
Right.
able to have a very cooperative divorce with no problems, then typically they can transition well. However, if one wants the divorce and the other one didn't want the divorce, or they can't come to an agreement in regards to certain things, that transition of when one of them starts dating and they now have a new girlfriend or boyfriend, or and they become eventually a spouse, that transition can be very difficult to navigate. And I go into
Yeah.
detail about just different things to be aware of. And one of the things is prayer. I believe that prayer is the answer to all things. I didn't have a prayer life back then. um I, I wanted to knock his head off most of the time back then. I'm talking about our baby daddy. But um I'm glad I have Jesus today. And so I really, really believe that navigating prayer is so important. And then you spoke earlier about knowing your role. And I think that that's where communication comes in. Like knowing your
Right.
role. I made it very clear to you that you had the right to discipline EJ, correct him, love him. You could pick him up. You were on the list to pick him up from school. All of the things, like anything that I could do, I gave you free reign to do it. And number one, I trusted you. Like I got to know you. I think that that is important I think that's something that the biological mother should initiate because it's your child. That's
Yes.
the reason why I think it should come
Yeah.
from them. And I wouldn't say that that was the reason why I did that, that that was the driving reason why I did that, but I'm glad that I did because it was my child. You're coming into a new environment. You're coming into a new situation, like a situation that has already been established, and so it's not your
Mm-hmm.
responsibility to create that. Or I feel like that should come from the biological mother. But if the biological mother doesn't step up, then I believe that the bonus mother should step in. What is your role? Or the
Yes.
stepfather or the bonus father. What is your role? The roles have to be identified, and the powers in
Mm-hmm.
those roles have to be identified. It has to be agreed upon by both the biological parent. What are your thoughts in regards to that? And I also want to know, was there ever a time that you had to discipline EJ, and what was that like?
Let me hit that one first. So, no, but I don't think the ex-husband, the baby daddy, was very, I'm trying to think of the right words to say. he couldn't handle certain things. And so like if we would go somewhere or something, I would make sure he sat next to me because he listened to me versus him. Like I remember one time we went to this Bible study and EJ was with us and he wanted these chips. I told him, I said, don't give him those chips because I don't want him to make a mess in this lady's house. Wasn't even 2 seconds later, he went to open the chips and chips went everywhere. And I just looked and I said, see, that's why I said let him sit next to me because he listens to me. But I did try to always stay like, but I was there, you know? So, um, it, it, it was hard at times because he wasn't the easiest person to get along with or explain things to or to tell him that you know you're wrong. Like, I used to be out there fighting for you, Tracy.
I know. I know. Police officers, y'all don't
Yeah.
understand what we've gone through. Police at my door, you know, just all kind of like I was just like, what in the world? This is. I remember just one time sitting on the side of my bed. It's like, this is not my life. Like I'm so
Mm-hmm.
not this, and I have to, I have to get this disclaimer out as it pertains, and I'm not dogging my ex. He's not my ex-husband. We never married. Vaughn married him.
But he is my ex.
But I have to put this disclosure out. When I met Eric, number one, it was during a very pivotal time in my life. My parents had been separated for a few years, and we had lost our house, the house that we lived in, and we moved from our house to an apartment. And that, I had no outlet to really unpack that transition in my life. Like it was a huge change. Looking back, it was a huge change that my parents didn't realize was really affecting me, and it did. And so much so that I would say not even a month later after we moved, I met him. I met my oldest son's father, and he was 4 years older than me. So that right there, like I was 17, y'all. Do the math. I had no business with this man. He was a man. I was in high school. I was so um
You were
the
vulnerable
like
at
I
that point.
like I was vulnerable. You're right. I was not and I talk about this in the book because my parents did not put us in counseling to deal with the fact that my father had left our home. He had not left us, but he had left the home. And it was affecting me. Not having him in the house affected me. And then when we lost our
Yeah.
home, and my mother had to scramble to get us a place to live so that we had a roof over our heads, it affected me. And so prior to my son's father, I was, I dated guys my age. I was not dating older. Like I didn't even believe in that. And so that tells you just how tricky the enemy can be when you are at your most vulnerable. How he can get in. I tell my son this all the time, Eric. I tell him, I said, if I could have you at a different time, like still had him, because I love my EJ. I love him. At a different time, and I'm not gonna say what else with that, where I could still have my son, I would, because I was not ready for that type of responsibility. And so trying try getting pregnant, and Eric and I actually did get engaged. He asked me to marry him, and we were engaged for like 2 years, and then we broke it off. And so going from that to being single again, and then meeting my ex, my husband, and trying to transition our little family, because we're now a blended family too, because I have a new husband with this child. And then you got
Yep.
your dynamic, you're coming in, and then you get divorced. Y'all get divorced. First y'all got divorced. And I don't know, what year did you guys get divorced?
Right before
Was it
you.
96,
Oh
95?
six.
Yeah,
No,
it was like
2006.
we in my 2006. Y'all, you got married in 97. I got married in 97.
October.
You got divorced in 2006. I got divorced in 2007. It was crazy how our lives were so parallel with each other in all of these transitions and all of these changes with children involved. Thank you, Vaughn, for helping me.
Do you remember coming to my house? I used to say to
When
myself, why didn't Tracy
what
warn me? But because I felt like, ooh, I wish she would have warned me about this. It wasn't as bad as at first, but then, yeah,
Yeah, that's how it started. It wasn't bad at first.
yeah.
I don't know. I think because when you and I met, I think you guys had like just got married, like y'all were about to get married, or like it was, and I'm gonna be honest, I was
I
so
hadn't been in
young at
Orlando
that
for a
time, I
year.
couldn't even articulate it. No, you hadn't. You had not
Yeah,
been in Orlando
I,
very long. You had just
yeah,
moved there. Yeah. And so
yeah.
I couldn't articulate all of it. I couldn't articulate this ain't good for us. But out of it, I will say I have my Eric. You have your DeAndre and your Ebony. DeAndre and Eric actually have the same birthday. Their birthday is on the same day. They're brothers, and I think that is so special because we got our children out of it. Okay, one of the dynamics that I wanted to talk about. I want to go into fast forward. You go through a divorce, and your oldest, you got Jelly, you got DeAndre, and you have Ebony. And
Hmm.
then someone comes into your life. Tell me about that.
Yes. So he came into my life. The kids were, I think DeAndre was like 5, and he used to work at the center. So they had a relationship with him before I did. And it was a little bumpy at first because of that he didn't have any kids, and then being that step parent. So I used to buy him books like Step Parents for Dummies and uh oh, Stay in Your Lane. It was a whole bunch of books. But I just wanted him to understand, because he's younger than me, so I know he hadn't really dealt with people with a child
What made you
already
what made you
or
feel
children.
like, what was he doing? What was he doing to make you feel like you had to do that?
Nothing. He was younger, and so
You was just
I just wanted,
oh, okay. Gotcha.
yeah, like, and I just wanted things to be smooth. I remember telling him, "Oh, I don't have baby mom, daddy drama," and then there it was.
How did he handle that? How did he handle I'm trying not to say his name because I don't want him to sue
I,
my company.
right. Um.
Um,
Uh.
how did he handle him? Like, what was that like when he came in as? Because I remember meeting Marquise. I can say Marquise's name. I remember meeting
Mhm.
him, and I remember saying, "Oh, Vaughn, I like him. I like him for you." And you were like, "Girl." I mean, you were smitten with him. It was this, I remember this glow I had never seen from you when you guys first got together, and I was just like, yeah. And there's this picture of the two of you that I still like, it's imprinted in my memory, and I just see everything that you deserve that was finally coming into your life. And so when he stepped on the scene, I was like, she gonna be good. She gonna be real good. So what was that dynamic like? Because now the tables have turned. It was you coming into a coming into this fan already made, situation. Now it's him coming into this already made situation. What was that like?
It was rough in the beginning because the ex-husband, he just went in like defensive mode, and I kept having to explain to him that he's not trying to take your place. He knows that they have a father, um but this could be good for them. They've had a relationship with him before me, and I think that we're gonna be good, but y'all need to be able to get along. Like I say, I didn't have any drama before, but there also wasn't anybody really in my life. So, and then when there was, here came the problems. But we nipped that in the bud real quick. And
I remember. I remember.
it's hard. Yeah. There was times, yeah. He We sat down and talked because I was starting to have problems in school with Ebony. So I was talking to the counselor one day. He was like, have you tried counseling? And I was like, no, but I'm willing to try anything. So set him up with counseling. So he would come and he talked to us first, and then they take the kids back one by one and talk to them. And I think it really helped them out a lot. It helped me too. So I think
That's good.
counseling, a lot of people don't believe in it, but I'm telling you, it is amazing and it will help. It also kind of taught him his
He's
role, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
it was hard at first, but then he realized that Marquise wasn't trying to take his place. He just wants to be that
yeah,
help, that extra, the bonus dad, and I can be your
yeah,
friend. You can come to me whenever you got a problem. And he's
yeah,
always been like that. And they
yeah,
go to him. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Typically, that's what it's like for the bonus parent. They're like the aunties and the uncles, unless it's a
Hmm.
situation
Yeah.
where, maybe the child, was an infant or very, very young, like a toddler, and he helped raise them. But when you have children that are of like the elementary age, middle school age, certainly high school age, this new person coming into a parent's life, you know, it's
Hmm.
like, who is this person? You know what I'm saying? And so it goes back to um, what we were saying earlier about knowing your role, and that role is different for every family. The relationship
Yes.
is different. What that child and that other bonus parent builds, it becomes, or it should become, its own authentic self, if that makes sense. I
Yes.
struggle very
Yes.
hard to connect with my bonus mom. I'm gonna be honest. My parents, they travel a lot. My parents are in ministry. And
Hmm.
so at first I wanted more, I wanted to spend more time with her, but I didn't see her always initiating that. And I'm not saying that
Right.
she didn't, because there were, I could count a few times she did, but I wasn't around her a lot, and that was not something, like, she didn't try to like open that up at the very beginning. Hey, let's go get something to eat, or let's go to the movies, or because I was much older. And so when you're talking about blending, and I talk about this in the book, when you talk about blending a family together with adults, it's a little different. I was an adult, versus, children. And so today I have a better understanding of her dynamic. I have a better understanding of kind of where I fit in her, as it pertains to her. We don't talk all the
Right.
time. We text a lot. Um, and that's our relationship. And I've just accepted it. And
Right.
sometimes that can be a process all on its own. But I wanted to
Right.
share with the audience the principles in my book that I talk about, that I feel is are needed in a blended family. And you feel free to chime in if anything sticks out for you, Vaughn. But of course, prayer, I mentioned that. I said we talked about knowing your role. We just discussed that. Acknowledgement. I have seen, I have experienced times where one biological parent ignored the other bonus parent like they didn't even exist. Like, I think that is the
Right.
rudest thing. And on top of it, your children are watching. They're paying attention. They've not missed a beat. I promise you. Okay. And
Yeah.
so I think it's important to acknowledge each other. Say hello. Be kind. Like, that's basic 101 manners. Like, if you were brought up with manners, I don't think it's that difficult. Um,
No. Become
and
natural.
accept it and move forward. Now, this has to do with the parent. This has to do with the biological parent that may not have wanted the divorce or the separation that has taken place, and they have found it difficult to move on. And because they have found it difficult to move on, their mission in life is, so let's say, my ex and I, we divorced. Of course we did, right? And
Mhm.
his new wife, my mission in life is to make her life hell. There are women like that. And there are
Yeah.
men like that.
I've seen it.
That their mission in life is to make the other person life hell. And so they make it difficult. I experienced that with my I experienced that with both of my children's fathers. Made my life
Hmm.
hell, just difficult
Yeah.
for no reason. No reason. And it's stressful. It's
Right.
stressful. Vaughn, I can't tell you the night that I would go to bed in tears. I would be so um just anxiety on 10 because I didn't have this
Yeah.
peace. This one area I didn't have peace in. And so it could be
Right.
nerve wracking. It could be really, really a lot. And then, of course, communication. We dealt with the communication thing, like two parents coming together, communicating on one accord about what what is happening with the child. And so I just wanted to share that real quick. um did you want to pinpoint anything?
No, just the communication. Like you have to. It's not. It could be pivotal in the relationships, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so. And the reason why is because kids are smart. They don't have a problem with playing parents against each other. So if you and the other
Oh
parent
yeah,
are
I
not
had
on
that.
one accord, if y'all don't know, yeah, I had that too. If y'all not on one accord,
Yeah.
they will play the two of you together. That's very likely to happen.
Yeah. DeAndre used to
Yeah.
do that. Ebony not so much, but DeAndre,
Um.
yes. And until he
Yeah.
saw that we talk. Once he realized, oh, they
Yes.
still talk.
Yeah.
It was like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Right.
It was a little different after he
Right.
realized
Right.
that. So,
Right. I wanted to transition because I do believe that this is part of your story. I want to talk
mhm.
about your journey in adoption, because we sometimes look at blended families as just something you marry into, but you all are one family, but you did take on not one, not two, but three three additional kids. And
Yes,
I remember
yes.
you. I remember
Sometimes I
you
think, was he
calling me. I
crazy?
remember we were on the phone. I remember when you and I were talking. I think I was at the house or we were on the phone and you was like, "Hey," you was like, "I want to foster kids." I was like, "You do?" I said, "What?" I said, "I'm trying to. I don't want no more kids." I said,
Yeah.
"No, you sure?" And I knew that some of it was because Marquise didn't have kids of his own. And so I watched
Mhm.
you go through that journey of getting certified and then ultimately adopting the girls. And just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, how it really started was I had me and Marquise, I had gotten pregnant twice and I lost both. And then I found out I had cancer. So I had to get radiation. So that sterilized me. So I couldn't have any kids. And he was like, we can have kids another way. So I was like, okay. So we started doing foster care. Um, uh, we had quite a few kids. And then one day we had a set of twins and one day they were leaving. And um I got a call and they were like, Miss Jolly, we have one for you. I hear you got an empty nest. I was like, yeah. She was like, you want her? I said, of course. When's she coming? They left at 11. She was here by 2. Um, she's 11 years old now. When she came, she was 5 weeks old. Um, 2 weeks before the adoption, um, they let me know that mom was pregnant again. And I was like, hey, if the child comes into care, I want it. And they looked at me like, what? I said, well, you guys always say y'all want to keep families together, keep siblings together. So, yeah, it wasn't even 3 weeks later. They were calling, say she had the baby. We got her at 4 days old, straight from the hospital. And um,
Wow.
and we adopted her as. Then we had Camilla. She was a preemie. She was born at 25 weeks, and the girl left the hospital, didn't come back. So they were like, "Do you want her?" So he wanted to adopt one. I wanted to adopt two, but we ended up with three. So I was like, just don't say nothing to him about adoption right now. Let me handle him. So we got three. So everybody, and I love it. I
How,
love them girls. Yeah.
how how has that impacted your life? How has it enhanced your life?
Um, it's been challenging because um the biological sisters, they both have epilepsy. And then the baby, she has autism. She's not a baby, she's 9, but she has autism. So, but she's very high functioning. So, um, it, it was a struggle in the beginning because when you don't know what's wrong, when things are happening, you just want to know what's wrong. Because there's times where you can't tell me I didn't have those kids. Like, so I worry about them all the time, but they're good. They're really good. They're really good. And they love their dad. So, yeah.
I love it. I want to say thank you so much for just sharing your story. Thank you for it's so hard for um, black babies to find a home. And the fact that you and Marquise were ready, and wanting and willing to open your home first as a foster parent and then ultimately adopting. It's a testament to your heart. And I just pray that God continues to bless you both in what you're doing, and that you will continue to advocate for this, as well, for adoption, so that more children can find homes. In particular, Black children can be adopted and find homes.
Yes.
So, I
Yes.
think that's it for our conversation. I want to thank you so much for being in the family room and sharing our story together. Um, I know it was a little shocking for everyone. I wanted to ask you, um, where are you with the book? Have you read the book? What are your thoughts? Let the audience know your thoughts pertaining to my book.
Tracy, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't put it down. So for me, it's funny because I didn't go straight through. So I'd go through a chapter and I was like, dang, I didn't know my friend was going through all of that. Like, you see people, but you really don't know that what they're going through behind closed doors. Um, we knew some, but not everything. And it's just I'm talking about it, I'm getting the chills because it's good. I love the book. And we're gonna give you a review too. So I'll let you know about that. But it's good. It's really good, Tracy.
I thank you again so much for being in the family room with us. All right, you guys, until next time, we'll see you next week. God bless you and stay locked in. Take care.